Awareness is the foundation upon which intentional living is built. Most of us go through our days caught in the currents of habit and routine, operating on autopilot, barely noticing the world around us. We wake up, perform familiar tasks, react to situations with ingrained responses, and move through the day largely unaware of the richness and complexity that exists in each moment. This default mode of living is akin to being immersed in water, but not realizing that we are wet, caught in an invisible environment that shapes our experience without our conscious recognition. The power of awareness lies in its ability to break this cycle of unconsciousness and bring us into full presence with ourselves, others, and the world. When we cultivate awareness, we begin to see the extraordinary within the ordinary. Simple acts like waiting in line, commuting, or performing routine tasks transform into opportunities for mindfulness and reflection. Awareness allows us to engage fully with our surroundings, noticing details that usually go unnoticed. The subtle expressions of people, the textures and sounds around us, the shifting light of the day. This heightened perception not only enriches our sensory experience, but also connects us more deeply with the moment, helping us appreciate the present rather than being lost in past regrets or future anxieties. Beyond sensory perception, awareness is crucial in understanding our internal landscape, our thoughts, emotions, and impulses. Without conscious attention, we are often slaves to automatic reactions driven by habit or emotion. Awareness creates a space between stimulus and response, enabling us to pause, reflect, and choose how to act. This pause is essential for personal growth and emotional intelligence, as it prevents knee-jerk reactions that may harm relationships or limit our potential. It empowers us to respond with intention rather than reflex, fostering calm, clarity, and purpose. In the context of decision-making, awareness provides clarity and insight. When we operate unconsciously, decisions are often based on incomplete or biased information, shaped by ingrained beliefs or societal pressures. Awareness shines a light on these hidden influences, allowing us to question assumptions and explore alternative perspectives. This reflective stance enhances creativity, problem-solving, and ethical judgment. It ensures that our choices align with our values rather than external expectations or fleeting desires. Awareness also has a profound impact on our relationships. When we are truly present with others, listening without distraction or judgment, we build deeper trust and connection. Awareness of others' emotions and needs fosters empathy, compassion, and understanding qualities that nurture meaningful interactions. Conversely, when we are distracted or self-absorbed, communication becomes superficial and fragmented, leading to misunderstanding and isolation. Developing awareness in social contexts enhances collaboration, leadership, and community. Furthermore, awareness helps us recognize the influence of societal and cultural narratives on our identity and world. We are shaped by the contexts in which we live, norms, values, media, education, but these influences often operate beneath our conscious radar. By cultivating awareness, we begin to discern which aspects of our thinking are truly ours and which are inherited or imposed. This self-knowledge is liberating, enabling us to redefine our identity on our own terms and resist conformity when it conflicts with our authentic selves. Awareness is not a passive state, but an active practice that requires commitment and discipline. It involves developing habits of mindfulness, deliberate attention to the present moment, and reflection, taking time to examine our experiences and reactions. Techniques such as meditation, journaling, and mindful breathing can support this process by training the mind to stay focused and calm amidst distractions. Over time, these practices build mental resilience and emotional balance, equipping us to navigate life's complexities with grace. Importantly, awareness fosters a sense of gratitude and humility. Recognizing the interconnectedness of life and the fleeting nature of each moment inspires appreciation for what we have and a deeper respect for others and the environment. It counteracts entitlement and complacency by reminding us that life is precious and fragile. This awareness motivates ethical behavior, stewardship, and a commitment to making positive contributions to the world. In professional and creative pursuits, awareness drives innovation and excellence. Being attentive to details, open to feedback, and conscious of the broader impact of our work leads to higher quality outcomes and more meaningful contributions. It prevents burnout by helping us notice signs of stress and imbalance early, allowing for timely self-care. It also encourages adaptability, as aware individuals are more attuned to changing conditions and ready to pivot when necessary. Ultimately, the importance of awareness in everyday life cannot be overstated. It transforms routine existence into a vibrant journey of discovery, connection, and growth. By choosing awareness, we reclaim agency over our experience, shifting from passive observers to active participants in life. This shift is the beginning of wisdom, fulfillment, and true freedom. The power of choice in perception is one of the most profound freedoms we possess, yet it is often overlooked in the rush of daily life. Every moment presents us with countless stimuli and situations, but how we interpret and respond to them is not predetermined or fixed. Instead, perception is a dynamic process shaped by our mindset, beliefs, and decisions. This means that we have the agency to choose how we see the world, ourselves, and others, which fundamentally influences our emotional state, behavior, and ultimately, the trajectory of our lives. Perception is not merely passive reception of sensory data. It is an active construction of reality. The same event can be perceived in vastly different ways depending on the lens through which it is viewed. For instance, a traffic jam can be seen as an annoying obstacle or as an opportunity to practice patience and mindfulness. The difference lies not in the event itself, but in the choice of interpretation. This understanding empowers us to shift from reactive to proactive engagement with life, reframing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than insurmountable barriers. The ability to choose perception starts with awareness of this freedom. Many people live trapped in automatic thinking patterns shaped by past experiences, cultural conditioning, or emotional biases. These default perceptions often go unexamined, leading to habitual judgments and reactions that limit perspective and create suffering. By recognizing that perception is a choice, we open the door to consciously selecting responses that serve our well-being and aspirations. Changing perception is not about denying reality or engaging in wishful thinking. It involves acknowledging facts while consciously choosing the meaning we assign to them. This subtle but powerful distinction allows us to hold a balanced view, accepting what is true while shaping our internal narrative in a way that empowers rather than diminishes us. For example, receiving critical feedback at work can be perceived as a personal attack or as valuable information that fosters improvement. The latter choice cultivates resilience and continuous learning. Emotional intelligence is closely tied to the power of choice in perception. Our emotional responses are influenced by how we interpret events, By choosing a constructive perception, we can regulate emotions more effectively and prevent destructive spirals such as anger, anxiety, or despair. This emotional regulation enhances relationships, decision-making, and overall mental health. It also allows us to remain calm and clear-headed in stressful situations, which is essential for effective leadership and problem-solving. The power of perception choice extends to interpersonal dynamics. How we perceive others, whether as allies or adversaries, competent or flawed, trustworthy or suspect, shapes how we interact with them. Choosing to see others with empathy and openness fosters connection, collaboration, and trust. Conversely, rigid or negative perceptions create barriers and conflict. By recognizing that these perceptions are choices rather than absolute truths, we gain the ability to transform relationships and create more positive social environments. In professional settings, the choice of perception can influence creativity and innovation. A mindset that views setbacks as failures may stifle experimentation and risk-taking, while perceiving them as learning opportunities encourages exploration and growth. Teams and organizations that cultivate a culture of constructive perception foster resilience and adaptability, which are crucial in today's rapidly changing world. Leaders who model this choice inspire their teams to embrace challenges and maintain optimism. Cognitive flexibility, the capacity to shift perspectives and adapt thinking, is a skill deeply connected to the power of choosing perception. It enables us to navigate ambiguity and complexity with agility. By intentionally choosing to broaden or alter our perception, we can overcome biases, reduce conflict, and discover novel solutions. This flexibility supports lifelong learning and personal development, helping us avoid the pitfalls of dogmatism and stagnation. Mindfulness practices enhance the power of choice in perception by training the mind to observe thoughts and feelings without immediate judgment or reaction. This observational stance creates a mental space where we can recognize default perceptions and consciously decide whether to accept or reframe them. Over time, mindfulness strengthens this capacity, making the choice of perception more natural and habitual. The impact of choosing perception is cumulative. Small, daily decisions about how we interpret events shape our overall outlook and quality of life. Consistently choosing empowering perceptions builds optimism, motivation, and resilience. It fosters a sense of control and agency that counters feelings of helplessness and victimhood. This psychological empowerment is a cornerstone of mental well-being and success. However, choosing perception is not always easy. It requires self-awareness, discipline, and sometimes courage to challenge ingrained beliefs or face uncomfortable truths. It may also involve confronting biases, letting go of grudges, or rethinking assumptions. The process is deeply personal and ongoing, but the rewards are profound, a life lived with greater freedom, clarity, and purpose. Finally, the power of choice in perception reminds us that we are not merely passive recipients of external circumstances. We are active creators of our experience. This insight invites a shift from blame and complaint to responsibility and empowerment. By owning the choice of perception, we reclaim control over how life unfolds for us, enabling us to navigate complexity and adversity with grace and optimism. The default setting refers to the automatic, unconscious mode of thinking and behaving that most people operate from daily. It is a deeply ingrained habit of perceiving the world primarily through the lens of self-centeredness, assuming that everything revolves around oneself, one's needs, frustrations, and desires. This default perspective traps us in a narrow view, limiting our capacity for empathy, creativity, and fulfillment. Escaping this default setting requires intentional effort to break free from these habitual thought patterns and adopt a more expansive, conscious approach to life. Operating on default means that much of our mental activity is governed by autopilot. We react to challenges with frustration, annoyance, or impatience, interpreting events as personal affronts or inconveniences. We may assume that others' actions are motivated by ill will or disregard for us, reinforcing a sense of isolation or victimhood. This mindset creates a feedback loop where negativity breeds more negativity, and opportunities for connection and growth are missed. Escaping this cycle demands awareness of the default setting itself and recognition of how it shapes our experience. Breaking free from the default requires conscious awareness and deliberate choice. It involves pausing to question our initial judgments and assumptions, challenging the automatic interpretations that arise in difficult moments. For example, when stuck in traffic or waiting in a long line, instead of defaulting to irritation, we can choose to see the situation as a shared human experience, an opportunity to practice patience, or even a moment to reflect or breathe deeply. This shift from automatic reaction to conscious response opens space for greater peace and presence. Escaping the default setting is also about recognizing the limits of self-centeredness. The habitual tendency to view life through the prism of personal needs blinds us to the complexity and richness of other people's lives and struggles. Developing empathy requires moving beyond self-focus to appreciate the perspectives and emotions of others. This expansion of awareness fosters compassion and connection, reducing feelings of loneliness and alienation. It builds bridges in relationships and communities, enriching our sense of belonging and purpose. This process of transcending the default self-centered mindset is challenging because it goes against deep evolutionary wiring. Humans are naturally inclined towards self-preservation and prioritizing immediate personal interests. Overcoming this instinctual bias involves cultivating mindfulness and emotional intelligence. Mindfulness practices train us to observe our thoughts and feelings without immediate identification, creating a gap where choice becomes possible. Emotional intelligence helps us regulate impulses and respond with understanding rather than reactivity. Escaping the default setting also requires confronting uncomfortable truths about ourselves. It means acknowledging that our perceptions are often limited, biased, or distorted by fears and insecurities. It challenges us to take responsibility for how we interpret and react to life's events, rather than blaming external circumstances or other people. This self-honesty is a cornerstone of personal growth, enabling us to move beyond victimhood and become active architects of our experience. The benefits of escaping the default setting extend to creativity and innovation. When we are stuck in habitual ways of thinking, we limit our ability to see new possibilities or solutions. Breaking free from these mental ruts allows us to approach problems with fresh eyes and a more open mind. It encourages divergent thinking, experimentation, and learning from failure. In organizations and teams, cultivating this mindset leads to adaptability and resilience, essential traits in an ever-changing world. From a leadership perspective, escaping the default setting is critical. Leaders who operate on autopilot are reactive, short-sighted, and prone to perpetuating toxic dynamics. In contrast, leaders who cultivate awareness and intentionality model calm, clarity, and thoughtful decision making. They inspire others to look beyond immediate frustrations and focus on shared goals and values. This approach builds trust, engagement, and a culture of continuous improvement. Escaping the default also relates to the idea of living deliberately, rather than drifting through life shaped by external forces and unconscious habits. Deliberate living means making choices aligned with our values and aspirations. It requires reflection on what truly matters and the courage to resist conformity or complacency. This conscious approach to life fosters meaning, satisfaction, and a sense of authenticity. This transformation is not a one-time event but an ongoing practice. The default setting will continually beckon, especially under stress, fatigue, or pressure. The key is to cultivate habits and environments that support awareness and reflection, whether through mindfulness, journaling, dialogue with others, or seeking feedback. Over time, these practices strengthen the ability to recognize default tendencies quickly and choose differently. Escaping the default setting also has profound implications for mental health and well-being. Chronic stress and dissatisfaction often arise from living unconsciously and reacting habitually to life's challenges. By cultivating awareness and intentionality, we reduce the grip of negative thought patterns and emotional turbulence. We gain greater emotional balance, resilience, and a sense of agency that enhances overall quality of life. Finally, escaping the default setting invites us to embrace a larger perspective on existence. It encourages us to see ourselves as part of an interconnected whole rather than isolated individuals. This awareness fosters humility, gratitude, and a commitment to contributing positively to the world. It shifts focus from self-centered desires to collective well-being, opening the door to a more fulfilling and impactful life. In summary, escaping the default setting is a transformative journey from unconscious reactivity to conscious engagement. It liberates us from limiting patterns of thought and behavior, opening the path to empathy, creativity, resilience, and purposeful living. It requires awareness, effort, and courage, but the rewards are profound. A life lived with clarity, connection, and meaning. Finding meaning in the mundane is an essential skill for cultivating a fulfilling and resilient life. Yet it is one of the most overlooked aspects of how we navigate our daily existence. In the hustle and bustle of modern life, it is easy to dismiss routine tasks and ordinary moments as insignificant or boring. However, this perspective limits our capacity to experience richness, joy, and purpose. By learning to see meaning in the mundane, we transform everyday experiences from mere obligations into opportunities for presence, growth, and appreciation. The mundane, those repetitive, seemingly trivial activities like washing dishes, commuting, or responding to emails, often feels disconnected from our larger goals or dreams. We tend to view meaningful moments as grand or extraordinary, waiting for milestones like promotions, celebrations, or achievements to provide purpose. This mindset creates a paradox. We postpone fulfillment until the big moments arrive, ignoring the vast majority of our time spent in routine. Finding meaning in the mundane disrupts this pattern by inviting us to reframe how we relate to daily life. At the core of this shift is the recognition that meaning is not inherent in external circumstances, but constructed through our attention and interpretation. The mundane is not devoid of meaning. Rather, we fail to notice it because our minds are often distracted or judgmental. By cultivating mindfulness, intentionally focusing on the present moment without evaluation, we can uncover the subtle, often hidden layers of meaning embedded in ordinary tasks. This presence transforms even the simplest actions into expressions of care, discipline, or creativity. For example, washing dishes may appear as a chore, but when approached with mindfulness, it becomes an exercise in patience, gratitude, and connection to the nourishment provided by food. Similarly, the daily commute, often seen as a tedious inconvenience, can become a time for reflection, listening to inspiring podcasts, or simply observing the world around us. These moments, when embraced fully, enrich our experience and ground us in the here and now. Finding meaning in the mundane also involves recognizing the role that these small acts play in supporting larger purposes. No grand vision is achieved without the foundation of consistent, sometimes repetitive effort. Writing a book requires countless hours of drafting and revising. Building a business demands managing countless routine details. Valuing the mundane means appreciating these foundational activities as integral to success, not as obstacles to be endured. This perspective nurtures perseverance and patience, qualities essential for long-term achievement. In relationships, finding meaning in the mundane is equally transformative. The small acts of kindness, listening, and presence, often unnoticed, build the trust and connection that sustain meaningful bonds. Celebrating these moments counters the tendency to seek only dramatic expressions of love or friendship. It fosters a deeper, more enduring connection grounded in everyday reality. Psychologically, this approach combats the dissatisfaction and restlessness that arise from chasing constant novelty or excitement. When meaning is tied solely to extraordinary experiences, life can feel like a perpetual search for something just out of reach. Learning to appreciate the mundane stabilizes our emotional landscape and fosters contentment. It anchors happiness in the present rather than in elusive future goals. The ability to find meaning in the mundane is supported by cultivating curiosity and gratitude. Curiosity invites us to explore the details and nuances of daily life with fresh eyes, uncovering richness where we might previously have overlooked it. Gratitude shifts focus from what is lacking to what is present, enhancing appreciation for even the simplest blessings. Together, these attitudes deepen our engagement with life and enhance well-being. Creativity often emerges from this mindful engagement with the mundane. Many artists, writers, and innovators draw inspiration from ordinary experiences, transforming them into works of beauty and insight. By paying close attention to the familiar, we open the door to novel perspectives and ideas. This practice challenges the assumption that creativity is reserved for moments of brilliance or extraordinary circumstances. Finding meaning in the mundane also has a spiritual dimension. Many contemplative traditions emphasize the sacredness of ordinary life, teaching that enlightenment or awakening arises not from escaping the world but fully inhabiting it. This perspective invites us to recognize the interconnectedness of all things and to honor the present moment as the gateway to deeper truth and fulfillment. In professional contexts, embracing the mundane with intention improves focus, quality, and satisfaction. Rather than rushing through tasks or multitasking, approaching work with presence and care leads to better outcomes and a more sustainable pace. It reduces burnout by shifting motivation from external rewards to intrinsic fulfillment. Practically, cultivating this mindset requires deliberate habits, setting aside time for reflection, practicing mindfulness meditation, and intentionally slowing down during routine activities can help rewire our perception. It also involves challenging cultural narratives that glorify constant busyness and achievement while undervaluing simplicity and presence. Ultimately, Finding meaning in the mundane is a powerful antidote to the fragmentation and distraction of contemporary life. It reconnects us with the flow of daily experience and fosters a sense of wholeness and integration. It teaches that fulfillment is not a distant destination but a way of being, accessible in every moment, no matter how ordinary it may seem. This realization is both liberating and grounding, empowering us to live with greater joy, purpose, and resilience. Awareness of mortality serves as one of the most profound catalysts for living a meaningful and authentic life. While the inevitability of death is a universal truth, it is often a subject avoided or suppressed in everyday consciousness. Yet, confronting the reality of our finite existence can radically shift our priorities, values, and the way we engage with the world. This awareness injects urgency and clarity into our decisions, motivating us to focus on what truly matters rather than becoming distracted by trivial or superficial concerns. Recognizing mortality brings into sharp relief the limited time each of us has, which naturally encourages reflection on how we choose to spend that time. When life is seen through this lens, the mundane is no longer a drag, but an opportunity to invest meaningfully in the present moment. It dissolves illusions of endless tomorrows and forces us to ask hard questions about our purpose, passions, and relationships. This perspective fosters a greater appreciation for life's fragility and beauty, instilling a deeper sense of gratitude. The awareness of death also serves as a powerful motivator to overcome procrastination and hesitation. Knowing that our time is limited pushes us to act on our dreams and goals without delay. It dissolves the paralysis of fear and perfectionism by reminding us that waiting for the right moment may mean missing the moment altogether. This realization encourages boldness, risk-taking, and authenticity, empowering individuals to live in alignment with their deepest values rather than societal expectations or comfort zones. Furthermore, this consciousness challenges the illusion of control that many cling to. Mortality reveals the inherent uncertainty and unpredictability of life, emphasizing the importance of adaptability and presence. It teaches humility, as no matter one's status or achievements, death is the great equalizer. This understanding can foster compassion and empathy, as we recognize that everyone shares this fundamental human condition. It also shifts focus from accumulation of material wealth or external validation toward experiences, relationships, and personal growth. The role of mortality awareness in shaping legacy is another vital aspect. When we accept that our time is finite, we become more intentional about the impact we want to leave behind, whether through family, work, community, or contributions to knowledge and culture. This mindset encourages purposeful living, where actions are aligned with values that transcend the individual self. It motivates stewardship and service, inspiring people to contribute positively to others' lives and the world. Psychologically, awareness of mortality can initially evoke anxiety or fear, but with mindful engagement, it transforms into a source of empowerment and clarity. Existential psychology and philosophy highlight that confronting death head-on helps individuals live more fully, with greater authenticity and less attachment to superficial distractions. This confrontation strips away illusions and trivial concerns, allowing for a focus on what truly brings fulfillment. Culturally, many traditions have recognized the value of mortality awareness through rituals, stories, and teachings that encourage reflection on death as a natural part of life. These practices serve as reminders to live with intention, to forgive, to cherish, and to seek meaning beyond material success. In contemporary society, integrating this awareness can counteract the tendency toward denial and avoidance, which often leads to a life lived in fear or distraction. The awareness of mortality also influences how we handle suffering and loss. By accepting death as inevitable, we can approach grief with a perspective that honors the preciousness of life and the continuity of memory and love. This acceptance fosters resilience and peace, allowing individuals to process loss without being overwhelmed by despair. It also nurtures compassion for others who are facing their own mortality or that of loved ones. In leadership and organizational contexts, embracing mortality awareness can inspire visionary thinking and ethical decision-making. Leaders who acknowledge the finite nature of their tenure or projects are more likely to prioritize long-term impact over short-term gains. This awareness encourages stewardship of resources, care for people, and a legacy mindset that values sustainable growth and positive influence. From a practical standpoint, cultivating awareness of mortality involves regular reflection on one's values, priorities, and life choices. Practices such as journaling, meditation on impermanence, or engaging with literature and art that explore mortality can deepen this consciousness. Creating rituals or moments of pause to contemplate life's transience helps integrate this awareness into daily living, making it a continual source of motivation and grounding. This awareness also cultivates presence, the ability to fully inhabit each moment without distraction by past regrets or future anxieties. It trains the mind to focus on what is immediate and real, enhancing the quality of experience. Presence, in turn, enriches relationships, creativity, and joy, all of which are fleeting yet infinitely valuable aspects of life. Ultimately, awareness of mortality compels us to strip away what is non-essential and embrace the core of what it means to be alive. It invites us to live with courage, love, and purpose, fully aware that every moment is both precious and finite. This perspective transforms life from a routine passage of time into a vibrant journey of meaning and contribution. It is a call to wake up, to choose deliberately, and to engage deeply with the mystery and gift of existence.